Hey, how are you? I trust all is well. My name's Javier Hinojo with All States Capital Group, and I'm going to take the next few minutes and talk about a property we purchased, kind of a case study. And I'm the co-founder of All States Capital Group. My partner, Moo, is in Houston. What's going on, Moo? So the next 10, 15 minutes, I'm just going to talk about a case study about a property we bought, a 72 unit in North Carolina. The purchase price, the rehab, the all-in cost, what the strategy is, the exit strategy, what's going to be worth, projection, what an investor could possibly make that's in this project with us. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this presentation that I definitely did not put together because for you guys that know me, um, I don't have the patience to put a presentation together. So had somebody in the team do it. Thank you so much, Fatima, for creating the presentation. Very pretty, a lot better than mine. So let's get started. All right. So the property is a 72 unit. It's located in Havelock, North Carolina. It's a small market, but it's a great purchase price. It's a great purchase price. We were actually surprised also on the fact that we actually got above our pro forma rents already, and that the bank sent an appraiser out there and gave a really good evaluation. So it's a value add. It's a value add. It's when we bought it, I believe it was 55-60% occupied. So we had to do some heavy lift. A little history on the seller. Her husband had passed away a year and a half earlier. It was just too much for her to handle. She had, I think, a couple hundred single-family houses. She would lease out, and she was just a little bit overwhelmed. So we were able to buy the property from her. So here's the property financials. The purchase price, 1.3 million. CapEx, capital improvements, rehab money, 537. Closing fees, carry costs, about 200K roughly. What does that entail? What does that go to? Well, there's a lot of due diligence done at the beginning. We got to pay the attorneys for the PPM. Just travel. There's we got a broker that's going to help us with a loan, or if there's a broker that brought you the deal. So you gotta pay out some acquisition fees. So you gotta have some extra money to kick off the rehab. So all in is about 2 million, a little bit over 2 million bucks. Stabilized projections. This is what we think is going to be worth in 18 to 24 months, right? Or just by doing the market research. We did market rents at 725. Okay, that's our number, and our expense ratio. We did a 50% expense ratio, which is pretty good. And to our surprise, we're already getting 775 on this on the newly renovated units. We're releasing them out at 775, which is $50 more. So that gives us an extra value. If everything get leased at least 775, the stabilized value is going to be about another $500,000 higher. Okay, but for demonstration purposes, case study purposes, this is how we did the underwriting before we bought it. Okay, so we didn't know we were going to get higher rents, right? So the stabilized value, even at an 8 cap, it should be less than that. The banks already told us, brokers already told us it should be less than that, but that's how we underwrote originally. Stabilized value is going to be about 3.7. Okay, and then we're going to get a loan in 18 to 24 months for about 2.4, which is only 65% of the 3.6. Okay, so at the all-in price of $2 million from the previous slide, and what it's going to be worth, 3.7, we created an equity of about $1.6 million. 1.6 million. This is a small project. Okay, just in equity in a year and a half. Bam, done. After the refinance, right, we're going to still have about 1.288, 1.3 in equity in the property. So you're not super leveraged. Okay, we're only doing a 65% loan to value, right? Only 65%. So you have a lot of equity, 35% equity still in this deal. We're going to cash out refinance. The projection is $355,000, right? So if we're all in for $2 million and the bank's going to give us a $2.392 million loan on the refinance, there's money left over, right? Just like if you ask for a home equity line of credit, or if you refinance your house and you get 20 grand out, 100 grand out, right? Same thing. And the best part about that is tax free. You don't have to pay taxes on that because it's a loan, right? If you do refinancing your house and you get 50K, you don't put that in your taxes, right? It's a loan. It's like a credit card, right? You still got to pay it back. Well, you don't. Your tenants do. And then you're going to have $140,000 in cash flow, okay? In a yearly cash flow. That's with a 50% expense ratio and $725 monthly rents. And so not too bad. So I'm going to talk about how we structured this for our partners, for our investors. This is what we did. And all these are projected returns, okay? We ended up doing 10 shares, $75,000 a share, which the total raise is $750,000. So for every $75,000, an investor got 2% equity, okay? And the term is 24 months. You know, the goal is to be done in 24 months. Exit strategy in 18 to 24 months, cash out refinance, and give the investors their money back, pay the first loan off, and have some proceeds that we can share amongst all the owners of the property, right? The investor also owns 2%, okay? And then hold the property for as long as we can, right? As long as it makes sense, 10 years, as long as it's cash flow and making sense, let's hold it, right? I used to flip a lot of houses, right? 3 to 6 months, 3 to 6 months, 3 to 6 months. Some took longer. I get a headache thinking about it. But you know, I was just constantly flipping, right? It was just kind of an active stream of income, right? Just active, right? Just so if you have to sell your commercial building, your apartment building in 3 years to make the returns for the investors, you're flipping apartments, right? I don't think that's long-term wealth. You're just flipping in a commercial building, even at 3 to 5 years. Look, I'm not opposed to that, right? If you got a great project, you can make a lot of money. Trust me, you can make a lot of money just flipping them every 5 years, right? But that's really not long-term wealth because you're not really holding it for 10 years. So either way we'll do. This is my favorite way, but we're not opposed to, you know, doing something where we got to sell 3, 5, 7 years to make all the returns that we need to make. So, but I'm just saying this is my favorite because you get to keep it. You basically have a free apartment building. Super cool. So the return on investment, right? There's 4 types of compensation for the 75K, okay? And these are approximate projections. Fixed preferred annual returns. So right off the bat, right, we aim to pay the investor 10% right off from day one. Just 10% pref, just 10% interest on their money, which is really good, right? So basically, if we happen to refinance in 18 months, they basically made $11,250, right, which is $7,500 a year, assuming, right, we refi in 18 months. Everything's taxed at long-term capital gains. I'm not a tax person, but you know, that's what my CPA told me. All right. Equity and perpetuity, basically 2%. Even after the investor gets cashed out, right? Say in 18 months, 24 months, we refinance the building. Everybody gets their money back. The first loan gets paid. Investor 750K gets paid, right? Doesn't mean that they're out of the deal. You still stay in the deal, right? So the investor got their money back and they still own part of the deal, right? So it's pretty nice. Not just that, but remember when I said there's going to be a tax out proceeds, tax on the refi, about 355-ish or so. If you own 2% of that, you're going to get another $7,100 at the refinance, right? So, which is pretty nice. It's also tax free, right? You got all your money back. Right? You got your 75K back. You got your pref, and you got an extra cash out proceeds, right? Which is super cool. And you still keep your 2% equity. So that basically is going to create about a 16.3 cash on cash return for roughly 18 months. Not too shabby. Projected equity value after the refinance. So basically, if we get a loan of 65% loan to value, right, there's 35% equity in there, right, which is we had about a 1.2-ish equity in there. million, 1.2 million equity. So if an investor owns 2% of that, one of our partners, that means their net worth just went up by $25,762. It's not money in your pocket, but it's just your net worth. And remember, they've already got the money back. So that's just an extra bonus. So how to calculate, how this is calculated, here it is, right? 1.288 was the equity. Was the equity created in the building left over at 2%. That's how much equity or net worth, right? So it's also tax long-term gains when the property sells, right? So a lot of this, we want to get super creative. Every situation is different. Consult your tax professional, just to make sure that whatever investment you guys do in the future, it fits your tax, right? I always talk about that to the folks that work with us. Just make sure that you guys have your tax stuff in order. So total expected return on the investment, assuming it's a refinance in 18 months, right? So preferred return, 10%, $11,250. Refinance proceeds, $7,103. This is tax-free. Equity created, $25,762. So your total return for, say, on 75K ends up being $44,000, right? It's not bad, right? It's not bad at all. How can we get these great returns? I always say the best strategy is your purchase price, right? If you get a good purchase price, you can screw the whole thing up, right? You can screw it up. Our rehab could be an extra $1 million. We can be in at $3 million, right? And you still make money, right? So, actually our rehab could be 1.5 million, not 500K, and we still make 800,000, right? So you have to get a good purchase price. That's just key. It's just very important. So this kind of breaks it down. People like charts and graphs and cool stuff, so this kind of breaks it down, right? 11,000 on your preferred return, refi 7,100, and your credit and your equity. Look, guys, this does not even take into account, okay, in the future, the cash flow, right? Doesn't even take into account that. Remember when we had $140,000 in cash flow? 2%, still belongs to the investor, right? So 2% of that is what? $2,800. So every month you're still going to get a $200 check, right? That's not even counting on your on this return, right? We're not even counting the depreciation on it, right? We're not even counting the appreciation. It's going to go up in value. We're not even counting the mortgage pay down. The mortgage is going to be less. We're not. The fact that the rents are gonna pick up. 10 years is not going to be the same, right? Because we start adding all that, then it looks really, really good. So just basic off the bat, it's got to work with the numbers that I gave you from the beginning. And this stuff here, right? All this stuff is just bonus, right? We're not counting on all this to make this project work, right? We're just counting on the force appreciation, a whole bunch of sweat and just hard work, okay? And then you also have long-term benefits, right? Like cost segregation. All kinds of cool stuff that I can spend here in the next 7 hours talking about and bore everybody to death. But if you know me, I have a super short attention span, so I like short videos. I'm sure I could have taken like an hour, 45 minutes to an hour to explain all this, and but I just my mind doesn't work that well, and I can't find my coffee, so I need some coffee. Pretty neat, just super sweet, super simple case study. This is what it could look like. This is how we structure it for investors. If you guys, anybody out there would like to know more about real estate, feel free to contact me, hit me up, Facebook. Shoot, my email's not on here, but just you're just on Facebook, hopefully, or social media. Just comment below, and we can reach out, have a chat. And everybody have a great week. Any questions? Feel free to comment below. And I appreciate everybody's time. That's one thing I do appreciate, because that's one thing that we can never get back, right? It's got no price on it, and it's worth a lot. So I appreciate your time.